also been hit by violence. At least 30 people were killed and dozens more injured in a rocket attack there on Saturday. Andrij Dobriansky is with the Ukrainian World Congress, an organization that aims to represent Ukrainians overseas. He joins us now from New York. Welcome to the program. Thanks for speaking to us here at Al Jazeera. Now, despite the attempts for a ceasefire and despite U.S. and EU sanctions against Russia, whom the West blames for the crisis in Ukraine, the fighting there seems to be escalating, doesn't it?
Yes, when you mentioned Mariupol, that happened only a couple of days after President Obama's speech informing the world that his strategy was working, and then Mariupol got shelled quite deliberately. You should also point out that Mariupol lies 25 kilometers beyond the buffer zone that was established during the Minsk Accord. So this is past where the operational zone was established. So innocent lives were hurt, but that seemed to be a feint. The main target now is Debaltseve and parts northeast, closer towards the areas that were taken back by the Ukrainian army in the summer when they were reclaiming the land captured by the Russian terrorists.
Many people in Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, are afraid that this could soon be the start of a major assault by Russia.
Well, this has been assault after assault. Throughout any of the ceasefires, whether it was the June-July 10-day ceasefire that constantly had rocket fire and artillery fire on Ukrainian positions, or the ceasefire that followed the Minsk Accords, there have been numerous breaks in this ceasefire on the part of the Russians advancing further and further. And now we can clearly see through the announcements of the military commanders there on the ground that the Russian forces have no desire to stop. And why would they? Because Ukraine has not been able to stop this without any further help from the United States or other countries.
Well, on that note, the U.S. President's nominee for Defense Secretary, Ashton Carter, has been speaking about Ukraine in his Senate's confirmation hearings. Please stay with us, Andrij. We'll come back to you right after we listen to what he had to say.
I very much incline in that direction, Mr. Chairman, because I think we need to support the Ukrainians in defending themselves. The nature of those arms I can't say right now because I haven't conferred with our military leaders or Ukrainian leaders, but I incline in the direction of providing them with arms, including to get to what I'm sure your question is, lethal arms.
Now, Andrij, just days ago, we heard the White House saying that lethal assistance is not the solution to the Ukraine crisis, but listening to Ashton Carter, clearly sending arms to Ukrainian forces isn't off the table for the U.S.
Well, Ashton is coming into the administration from the outside. This is not a person who's been in the inner circle. At this point, our best information is telling us that it's only the President Obama and his inner circle that are against supplying Ukraine with some arms. Most of Congress, they passed a law at the end of 2014, which was passed without opposition. Most of the people in the Defense Department, people in the State Department, we are not hearing anybody who's against helping Ukraine. Helping them stop the assault further, other than the President and his inner circle. So what we're hearing now is a change of the consensus in Washington, deciding now to push back at the President. And what's most important is that this pushback is now coming from the President's own party. So the President's own party is telling the President to re-examine his policy.
Andrij, what sort of assistance is the U.S. currently providing the Ukrainian government and military?
Well, that would be a great question. We're trying to get confirmation on both ends. For the most part, the support to the Ukrainian government has been to help its economy and its changeover of civil society with programs. Just this past week, the Secretary of the Economy in the United States went to Kyiv and announced that the United States would be backing Kyiv with a $2 billion loan guarantee, which could be increased to a further $3 billion if certain reforms were met. So that's where primarily where Ukraine is being helped by America right now. However, America holds the arms that only it can supply to Ukraine. The anti-tank missiles specifically, things that can halt the advance of heavy artillery, that's very important, as well as a whole slew of things, especially about this violence, are medical supplies, military helicopters, field hospitals, all sorts of ways for the Ukrainian army to identify when these medium-range rockets start attacking civilian areas, because casualties in Ukraine have been, 70% of them have been through these medium-range rockets, and Ukraine does not have the ability with counter radar to either have countermeasures against them or warn the people that this is happening.
All right, Andrij, thanks for speaking to us. Andrij Dobriansky is with the Ukrainian World Congress.